Definitely some proud dad, proud coach kind of moments for you last night. You knew it was coming, I know, but just to see it finally finish out and hear Sabrina at 1, Satu at 2, Ruthie at 8, just
Yeah.
walk you through the emotions there.
Well, I was really nervous. Up here at Black Butte at our place here, and the whole family went home to watch it back in Eugene. I was just too nervous, so I stayed here to watch it by myself last night. The funny thing is, I knew how it was going to play out. I figured they were going to go 1-2. I knew for sure, and then Ruthie could have gone 6, 8, or 9.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad it worked out the way it did for all of them.
Well, you tweeted. I love the tweet last night about how it was a win-win for Ruthie, regardless if she went 8 or 9. But did you have a feeling that she was gonna go 9 to the Liberty there, or did Courtney talk to you beforehand about wanting Ruthie?
Yeah, well, yes, I know everybody in Eugene wanted those two to play together. But yeah, Courtney and I had been in contact for the last couple of weeks. She's been lobbying her general manager, who's also her coach, both with Chicago and with her team in Russia. So, they're pretty close. She's the best point guard in the WNBA. So I think she has a little bit of pull. And she assured me a couple of days ago that Ruthie was not getting past 8. So when the trade was announced with New York, she said, "Kelly, don't worry, she's not going past 8." And then Chicago actually thought she might not be there when they got there at 8. And so, okay. I just have phone calls. So anyway, it worked out for everybody. They were really happy she was there at 8.
So walk me through some of the pros of the skill sets that each of them have for the teams that they're heading to. I mean, I don't know how much tape you're watching of the Liberty, Wings, and Sky, but I mean, where do they fit well, and where are those games transferable that they're going to step in and be, competing in that starting 5, or at least making moves for major minutes right there on the opening day that they get there?
Yeah. Well, let's start with Ruthie at 8. I mean, I know with Chicago, and I've seen them the most, what she's getting is an elite point guard who wanted somebody who rolls to the basket. I think their roster is made up of some really good players, and they have a really good culture, and that's a playoff team. And actually, they're not too far away from being a championship contender. So she's going to be a great fit for them. And among the 3, she's actually going to have the best opportunity to win right away. So that's perfect. She couldn't be with a better mentor in Courtney. Satu at 2, they need a lot. They had a lot of draft picks. I know they have several players that are under contract, but that's a culture that needs to change a little bit. The great thing about Satu is she can play all over. She can be a stretch 4. She can be a wing. She can be an off guard because she shoots it so well. She's really got the ability to play everywhere, and I think there's a chance that she's a real superstar in that league. I know they're really super high on her. Obviously, you don't pick somebody 2 if you don't think they have the potential to be the face of the franchise. And I'll tell you, I think she's got leadership capabilities. I think she's got a chance to be a leader in the WNBA in terms of a player representative and on and on and on. So I think that's great. We all know how good Sabrina is. I mean, she's in now the toughest media market, the biggest media market. She's got the Nike shoe deal now. She's with a Hollywood agency. She's got everything. I saw her with her new Beats today. She's already got the Beats contract. So she's in the right place, and she stepped up to every challenge her whole career. She's got a chance to be a perennial all-star, a big-time player, the face of the league, et cetera, et cetera. So I think they all 3 did great.
It was amazing seeing Satu the last few days. We were on the Zoom call with her I want to say the day before the draft, actually. And, she was talking about how she wants to extend her brand out into things off the floor. And, it was amazing to kind of see her in this capacity where she's kind of, I don't know, I guess leaning into, as you said, the kind of leadership sort of role and style now that it's, kind of out of not necessarily in Sabrina's shadow, but Sabrina, I think you'd agree, was probably the de facto leader of your team. I mean, can you expand on Satu's leadership capabilities and what she has and how that can blossom now that she can be that kind of player for a team?
Well, Satu was definitely one of our leaders. There's no question. She had the ear of every player on the team, the respect of all of them. I think, Sabrina was the one that was out there, in front, but Satu was a really an important leader for us. She is the whole package. I mean, she is not just a basketball player. I've said, and you've heard me say it before, she's the most interesting player that I've ever coached. And I don't just mean as a player. Her size with her abilities and talents and skill set is incredible, but it's off the court where I think she really, is a transcendent kind of player. She is super intelligent. I mean, she is just book super smart, right? But she's very socially aware. She's not afraid to opine on social injustices that she sees around the world and within our borders. And she's just a really confident person and has a unique, I think, perspective on the world, being from Berlin. So, I tell her all the time, I would not be surprised that someday she is, takes over for Chancellor Merkel as the Chancellor of Germany. I mean, she's got that potential. And, so I'm really happy for her. And I think she's got big things in store.
James had kind of touched on it, on the interview he had with you on the radio a few days ago, and then again with Satu, where he mentioned, and you had, I guess, mentioned to him that she had second thoughts about entering the draft with all the uncertainty. I mean, is that more of, or was that more of just because of everything that's going on around the world right now, as opposed to anything strictly related to player business?
No, I think it had to do with what was going on. I think there was some question whether the WNBA season would go, and there's still a question. I'm still less than 50-50 sure that they're going to get a season in, but there were assurances made that the players would get paid in some form or fashion. She had a lucrative deal with Jordan Brand. That money that was going to, I think, in the end be given to her, regardless of whether the season was done. There's still the potential to go overseas. Remains to be seen when that league will start. So, yeah, she had some question marks. I talked to her about the fact she'd be the face of college basketball next year, very similarly to what Sabrina was this year. The prohibitive number 1 pick in next year's draft. We'd be a top 5 team again. All the notoriety and publicity you get as an athlete at Oregon. So I think that appealed to her. But in the end, she made the right decision, and that's the one she wanted to do before all this happened. And I think she just stuck with it in the end.
Yeah, and I got to say, 3 in the top 8's a pretty good commercial for your program at this point. I saw what were you going to say? Well,
no, I was going to say, and the fact that, she left after 3 years, I think speaks well to, our program. Obviously speaks well to her, but it also speaks to the recruits. We're in this for you. We want your dreams to be realized. We're going to help you to that end. And, we're just grateful for whatever time she did give us. And those were 3 great years. So would we love to have her back next year? Well, of course, but this is a great alternative.
Well, and speaking of your recruits, I saw Tahina tweeted something out about I'm going to carry the torch or, pick up the legacy, something to that effect. And what does that signal, what last night was, to not only your really excellent class that's coming in, but when you go out on the road and now you can straight up point there and say, this isn't look at the mock drafts. It's look at where they are and where they got drafted.
Yeah, no question. I mean, it does not happen very often. You saw how few times, one team's had three picks in the top 10. That puts us in elite company. It's obviously going to help us recruiting. These guys just got us started. I mean, this group we have coming in is really on paper, when you look at their accolades and rankings and all that, is actually on paper much better than the group that just left us. So, there's, I think, great things in the works. We've got a lot of work to do, but I think we have the kind of players that also have being a professional basketball player as their goal, as their dream. And so, yeah, I don't anticipate we're going to, it might be a little ugly early because we're going to be really young. But we've got good veteran leadership coming back. I talked to all of them last night. Lydia and Aaron and Taylor. I look at those three as kind of our leaders now. And I said, hey, it's your team. I thought last night was kind of turning the page to next year's team. And so, yeah, we're in good hands.
Well, and given kind of the, I guess, unfortunate lack of closure that there was for this season, I mean, is this obviously this is not any consolation for a national championship, don't get me wrong, but does this feel like at least there is a little bit of closure now to this group and to what they've done, and now you get to kind of say goodbye the appropriate way for them to go on to the next step?
Yeah, Andrew, I got you. I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, we'll never get that back, but this is a good consolation prize, so to speak. That was a big night last night. I think all Duck fans celebrated. It was something special. That the text that I was getting all night, it was crazy.
Oh, I bet.
And I know that they were. It was yes, I think there was a little bit of closure for us, and now they can go win a world championship. You know what I mean? They've got, they're moving on and they're doing their thing, and then we're going to try and win that national championship that they didn't get a chance to do this year.
So what were Taylor, Aaron, and Lydia's kind of reactions and the things that you guys were talking about last night while all this was going on?
Well, they're going to take it as a real challenge. Hey, and they're great leaders, and they've been a big part of this. Those are all key kids. And more than that, they're great leaders. They're great students, liked and respected by everybody on the team, including our incoming freshmen. Our freshmen are going to be in really good hands. These guys are going to lead them the right way and teach them our culture. And listen, we've got a tremendous group. That being said, we're going to have 7 freshmen on next year's roster. I mean, 7. So, there are going to be times when I'm pulling out my hair when, I could just Sabrina or Satu or Ruth, you just say, hey, coach, don't worry, we got this.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do a lot more coaching and things like that this year to get really this group gelled. And it looks like we're going to be without a summer to get that done. And, there's a chance also, Andrew, I want to be a realist. Who knows what's going to happen with our non-league?
Oh, I'm right with you.
Schedule. So I don't know. It's probably not the ideal year to be having a young team coming in. But, hey, we're going to make the best of the situation. So.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I am right with you on that. A couple more before I let you go. I know it's a long drive.
No worries.
You think Mignon's going to end up with somebody?
I hope so. She doesn't really have an agent. She wasn't planning on going overseas. She, maybe we've discussed this or not, but she got a really prestigious internship with Jordan Brand.
Oh, wow.
She was going to be set to go back to Chicago, and I think she just kind of wants to move on with her life. She's a great kid, and hopefully somebody gives her a chance. I think Chicago will. I've actually talked to them. They will probably invite her to their camp, but who knows when that camp's going to be? But she's such a sharp person. She's going to end up being CEO at Microsoft or something someday, or at Nike. She's that type of person. I just, her sister tried the overseas thing for 1 year, didn't really work, and I just think she doesn't have that as a goal. So I think she'll just move on with her life. But God bless her, man. She was a big part of what we did.
Yeah.
Whether she got drafted or not, she was a huge part of what we did this year.
Yeah, she is a ridiculously smart kid, really well spoken to. And one of Mariah's best friends that went with her to Louisville is actually a kid that went to Colorado, transferred to Colorado, and I worked with.
Okay.
And her Ariana Freeman. I don't know if you remember the name, yeah. But she and I have talked about Mignon, and she's like, yeah, that kid is a genius. Like she's gonna, she's gonna be just fine.
You know what? Some people have book smarts, and some people have street smarts. Mm-hmm. She's got both, and that's a dangerous combination.
Yeah,
I mean that's she's gonna be able to do whatever she wants in life. So, you better watch out for your job. China better watch out for hers. All of us, I better watch out for mine, because if she wanted it, she would attack it and come get it.
Oh, easily. And I have no doubt she'd come and take it immediately. With Sabrina on the Nike deal too, I know you and I have talked off camera ad nauseum just about the fact that like that was a foregone conclusion that was going to be the richest deal probably for a women's
Yes,
basketball
and it
player.
was.
Yeah, and it was,
Mm-hmm.
and a signature shoe and everything. And well,
I don't know about that yet. She's got to earn that.
yeah, did they? Because Duffy came out and said that she was, or was that? I'm guessing that was probably just some posturing. But the signal that sends, though, I guess, to women's basketball players in general now, just from your vantage point as a high-level collegiate women's basketball coach and the view from 35,000 feet. I mean, what kind of message does that send to high school athletes, to college athletes, that this is now gone from the WNBA being something that you can do, but it has to be, supplemented with income overseas, to now this is a career, this is lucrative, and, you can make a whole life out of doing this now.
Well, I wish that's where we were headed. I wish our great players didn't have to go overseas. Fewer and fewer are.
Mm-hmm.
I think you see people like Shanae Ogwumike and Sue Bird, and, they've decided to just kind of stay here, and then they market their brand in the off season. I think Sabrina's got that potential, to do that. I think early on in her career, I think you want to maximize, I think, your earning potential. So maybe for a couple of years, she does go overseas, because you can make a pretty good living there. And then combine that with what she's making in the WNBA and her endorsements. That's a good living for a young person, for an older person. That's, so I don't know. I don't think she knows yet. And right now, I think we're all just kind of hoping and praying that we get any season in. But then after that, she's got good people representing her and guiding her.
So with everything that is kind of going on, I know for at least us in the sports office where we're doing news half the week, it was almost like a nice escape of feeling kind of back to normal, and even for just a 2-hour span. I mean, did you kind of get that feel at all as you were watching this, of amidst everything nuts going on, there seemed to be in that time that the draft was going on a little bit of just a sense of normalcy?
Yes, and quite frankly, Andrew, I thought the WNBA and ESPN nailed it last night. I thought they did a great job. Under the circumstances and so many remote locations, I thought they did a great job. It was a really well done program. I thought the opening was terrific. The memorial they did to Kobe and Gianna and the other two girls, I thought was phenomenal. And yes, I think for the first time, really, that we actually had some like real sports kind of news. It wasn't made up. It wasn't, this is going to happen. It was actual news, and that was pretty cool. So it's a start. I hope we have some more.
Yeah, really. I have to say the funniest thing last night was the delay of when they were going into the houses, and they announced Ruthie at 8. And they go into Ruthie's house, and everybody's just completely stone-faced because they hadn't seen it yet. And Ruco gets on ESPN. He's like, no, give it 5 minutes. We'll get back to it.
Yeah. Well, there was a 4 or 5 second delay on all of them, but I guess when you got to go all the way to Alaska, that's probably a much longer delay. So that was kind of funny. But did you see the parade that they had for her last night?
How cool was that?
That was kind of cool.
That was awesome.
Cool.
I tried to do my best of throwing mentions to SVP in them, because I was like, that's got to be like a best thing I saw today contender for next week. Like, that was so awesome to see.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. They they love them some Ruthie Hebert up there in Alaska. When we went up and played a couple years ago at Alaska Fairbanks, I mean, it was nuts. The biggest crowd they've ever had for a sporting event up there. And it was like minus whatever degrees, and there was a line over an hour before the game all the way around the building. When there was a huge line when we drove up an hour and a half before the game started. It was nuts.
That is amazing. I love that.
Yeah, she's a big deal, literally and figuratively.
So what have you been doing in the meantime? Kind of hanging out up in Black Butte?
A little bit up here. This is a great place. I love it. Been hanging with the boys. Going back to Eugene now, just kind of making do like everybody else. I'm getting very good at this Zoom technology. There was one day I actually had 5 of them.
Oh my God.
So yeah, there's been a lot of what would you call virtual learning and teaching going on among coaches. I think that's been one of the benefits. I think there's probably going to be better coaching next season than any time, because we're all reaching out to others. We're doing these clinics and hearing and sharing, and I think we're all going to be better coaches for it. You know, we're normally out working hard and recruiting at this time, and now the recruiting's only on the phone. So,
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot more time to do other things.
I guess that's a perfect segue into one last question to ask you. I mean, how much, obviously, with recruiting being solely over the phone, how much of this has been for you just watching back film, watching other tape, as you mentioned, talking with other coaches, and doing everything online the way you've been?
Yeah, well, we meet as a staff and we talk about recruiting and things like that. That it hasn't really slowed down. We're fortunate to have a great class coming in. We've already had a nice start in our 21 class. We know who we want, and we're getting close on some of those players. You know, we're in the hunt for a grad transfer to you know, just kind of give us some experience next year. So yeah, it continues. The difference is we don't know when we're going to be able to get those people on campus. I mean, you know, we're locked out until the 31st from the NCAA, and I don't know if that's going to be extended or not. So yeah, it's you know, unusual to say the least. And I see kids committing, and I don't know, you know, if they've already been on these campuses or not. I don't know.
It's the funniest thing. So my mom was telling me they're up in Vermont right now, and they are selling houses up there, and people are buying like $350,000 houses sight unseen. No pictures, no videos, no tours. And like, they're just like, you know what? I like the property. I'm buying it. And I'm thinking to myself, that's insane. And it's the same with commits. I mean, how do you know, a phone call or two, but you know, you don't go to campus, you don't get the feel. I mean, that's man, that transfer portal, I feel like, is going to be pretty active next season.
Well, it's pretty active right now.
Yeah, that's
true.
True.
Kids are still leaving, knowing that there's a good chance they're going to go pick their new school without ever being on campus. So that's unusual times.
Crazy.
We just make the most of it, man. We just do what we do.
I hear that.
You need a haircut, and